The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Up to Speed with Tripp Simpson. I am your host, Tripp Simpson, in the building.
And you gonna get off his corners? You gonna leave his people be? Or you the one that's gonna find yourself a new plug?
You don't mean that shit?
The fuck I don't. I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you tear it down just cause you don't like the way another nigga talk.
All right, and ladies and gentlemen, before we get this show started, first and foremost, you know we got to handle business. Let's get it.
Family moving up in the business. I know you're going to look after family.
What family you talking about, Ice?
Fuck, I look invisible, nigga.
That's right, I am not invisible, so do me a favor. If you're watching live on YouTube, live on X, or live on Facebook, hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and select all. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot I wanted to get into for the show this week, but there's one topic that's really been kind of grinding my gears for the past couple of days, and that's this whole ICE situation in Minnesota with the death of Rene and the death of Alex Pretti or whatever his name is. Okay, I've been getting a lot of flack and a lot of negative feedback for my opinion on the situation. So I want to really hone in on that tonight. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Trump and his role in the situation, but I also want to talk about what started the whole concentration on Minnesota, which is going to be the Somali fraud. So that'll be the last thing we get into. I want to go over the Somali fraud case, and I got a long video. It's a very popular video. Some of you may have already saw it from Shirley, who exposed what was going on with the daycare situation. So we're going to review that. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole video, but we'll do as much as we can for the time that we have allotted. Okay, so like I said, tonight, I just want to talk about this ICE situation in Minnesota because it seems as if a lot of you guys are falling for the same old tricks, okay? Seems like a lot of you guys are falling for the same old tricks. And you're falling for the same old tricks and tactics that got us where we were by the end of 2024. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, I mean that once the left is making these situations turn deadly, then they're able to make martyrs out of the people who unfortunately pass away in these situations. Okay? And it reminds me a lot of what happened in 2024 as a result of the left making martyrs. And I want to get into how they do this and the collateral damage that comes out of the policy and rhetoric that they use to manipulate their supporters and also the people inside of their political jurisdictions. All right. And as I said, it was just a few years ago, we were in the same exact situation in the same exact city, which is Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay. And what I mean is how they blew up the whole George Floyd situation and turned a career dope fiend into a political and a racial martyr that ultimately sparked one of the largest crime waves in this nation's history. Okay? These people used George Floyd to spark the whole defund the police movement. Now, what was the outcome of that? Every major city in America relaxed its laws as it pertains to charging people criminally. Violent crimes, theft, all that type of shit, right? Number two, police departments across the country took major hits to their budgets, and ultimately, overall morale for these positions were down, and so was manpower. In fact, in my hometown to this day, in Washington, D.C., we still can't find enough police to staff D.C. We still can't find them. And this is after reversing those lenient laws and giving the police a 15% raise and offering damn near $32,000 in cash in bonuses just to sign up for the job. All right. And number three, violent crimes and theft skyrocketed. All right. Especially carjackings and murders. Now here we are in 2026 and the left is running the same old plays. All right. And don't get it twisted. All right. Because Trump isn't making this any better. He talks a real tough game every time and then he chickens out. Every time he talks real tough. He gonna do this. He gonna do that. Every goddamn time he chickens out. All right. You can always count on Trump to chicken out to the left. All right. Check this out. I want to show y'all. I got an example. He's chickening out already, and it's actually pretty crazy. All right, let's get to it. Let's get this video going. Hold on. Bear with me. I'm a one-man show here, but we're going to get it right. All right, let's get it.
President Trump vowing to de-escalate tensions in Minnesota after the second deadly shooting at the hands of ICE agents. And Fox 5's Sharon Crowley live in the newsroom with the latest developments on this. Sharon.
That's right, Bianca and Natasha. President Trump saying a big investigation is now underway after an ICE agent shot, more than one agent shot and killed a protester, Alex Pretti. His remarks coming today after the president made a change in leadership in Minnesota amid calls by Democrats for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to resign.
Y'all hear this? Oops, God damn, hold on. I don't know what just happened here. Let me go back. Sorry. Here we go.
President Trump vowing to de-escalate tensions in Minnesota after the second deadly shooting at the hands of ICE agents. And Fox 5's Sharon Crowley live in the newsroom with the latest developments on this. Sharon.
That's right, Bianca and Natasha. President Trump saying a big investigation is now underway after an ICE agent shot, more than one agent shot and killed a protester, Alex Pretti. His remarks coming today after the president made a change in leadership in Minnesota amid calls by Democrats for the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to resign. The Trump administration's decision to scale back operations in Minnesota following phone calls yesterday with the president, the governor of Minnesota, and the mayor of Minneapolis. Now, President Trump says that he is willing to back off ICE agents there if he gets some more cooperation on rounding up illegal immigrants accused of other crimes. Reporters are Tom Homan is meeting with Mayor Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, as he takes over federal efforts there now. But it's not clear if Minnesota officials will reverse any of their sanctuary policies. And in the meantime, more Democrats are willing to shut down the government this week if there aren't any changes to the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. Reporters asking Trump today if he still has confidence in Secretary Noem.
Well, you know, we're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
Is Kristi Noem going to step down?
No.
All right, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer today saying that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is, quote, incompetent and must be fired after the fatal shootings of 2 Minneapolis protesters by federal authorities there in as many weeks. Now, he says Democrats will not vote for Homeland Security funding as part of a wide-ranging spending bill that was just passed by the House. The government will partially shut down if the Senate doesn't pass the legislation by this Friday.
All right, so there we have it, people. All right, there we have it. Okay, and this is my issue with President Trump. Every single time this nigga starts all that tough talk about what he's going to do and what he's not going to do and what he's going to tolerate and what he's not going to tolerate, he backs down. It don't matter whether it's Russia, the Middle East, Ukraine, Greenland, and my most favorite of all time is going after the deep state. He never follows through. He never follows through. And this is just another example about to go in the history books. I mean, at this point, you might as well just deliver for the base and for the American people who gave you the electoral mandate to fix this immigration issue. You might as well do what the base wants you to do, because it's already damned if you do and damned if you don't. Okay? Whether you back down from ICE raids or not, the Democrats are probably going to take the House in 2026. All right? And there's nothing you can do about it at this point. So just double down and get the goddamn job done. Now, to his credit, he didn't create this problem, okay? He just has the unfortunate task of trying to deport all 15 to 20 million illegals that the Biden administration just let casually waltz in the country unchecked. All right, and so far, he hasn't even met Biden's yearly deportation average. I think he's at about 230 right now. All right. But on top of that, every Democratic politician is fighting him on this. And they're making it extremely hard for him to accomplish this goal. And I get it. All right, I get it. But you knew this was going to be the case coming into office. This is your second go around. You know what they did to you the first time. You should be prepared to take them on the second time. See, if I'm Trump at this point, I'm pressing the button on the Insurrection Act. Okay, I'm gonna press that button and I'm steamrolling every motherfucker that's in the way of the process. And if more bodies get dropped, this so be it. Okay, the left wing in America is completely unhinged. All right, they are completely unhinged at this point. And it's high time we see just how unhinged they are and how far they're really willing to go. Because I'm telling you, if Trump, when you bullshit around and you let them back in office with the full resources and control of the federal government, this problem will never be solved. And those of you who do try to solve it or speak on trying to solve it are going to be sitting in jail just for mentioning it. Now, instead of trying to face this problem, what does President Trump do instead? Okay, what does he do after he backed down from one of his main promises on his campaign? All right, this is what he says. Let's get to that. This is what he has to say. I want to get to this Truth Social post that he posted today, which I thought was totally insane. Let's get to that. All right, so this is what he posted on Truth Social. Let me see if I can make this bigger. All right, he says, a massive armada is heading to Iran. It's moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It's a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. Then that sent then that sent, okay, sorry, I'm blind. All right. Headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, then that sent to Venezuela, like Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons. One that is good for all parties. Timing's running out. It's truly of the essence. As I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right, so you can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this shit up. So not only does he virtually all but abandon his stance on deportations, he then flip-flops on his stance on no new wars and pretty much warns Iran that a war is imminent. I don't know about you, but this is not what I voted for. This is not what I voted for. But unfortunately, there are far too many brainwashed Trump supporters who are cheering this bullshit on. There's far too many of them. And granted, I mean, there's a lot of us who aren't. But nonetheless, the same old deep state politics as usual. The bullshit continues and the people get screwed over 100-fold every time. I thought it would be different, but I mean, we're back on the same rodeo. There's no way a war with Iran is more beneficial to the country than focusing on deporting the 15 to 20 illegals that Joe Biden let walk in. There's no way you can tell me that that's more important. Ain't no way. And that just goes to show you the difference between those of us on the conservative side of the aisle and those of us on the Democrat side of the aisle. Because a lot of us on the conservative side, we're not sitting up here stroking Trump's ego. When you're wrong, you're wrong. And I would even say probably about 50% of the base is criticizing Trump over this shit because it's nonsense. Iran has a 1 million man standing army and all types of ballistic missiles from Russia and China. You can't just waltz into Iran like you waltzed into Venezuela. You can't just waltz into Iran like you waltzed into Iraq. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But anyway, let's move on. Because I want to, real quick, before we get into the video, I want to address all you Negroes who have been swearing up and down that I'm a coon or that I'm an Uncle Tom or that I'm Clayton Bigsby.
Coons? Well, raccoons trying to get on our back porch. Mama just chased them off with a broom.
Not raccoons, you idiot. Niggas.
I want to address all you people. You say I'm a coon. You say I'm an Uncle Tom. You say I'm Clayton Bigsby. You know, or whatever you idiots want to refer to me as for my stance on the whole ICE situation. Or more specifically, the deaths that occurred in Minnesota. All right. That's what I've been called for my stance on it. So I want to address that. Now, first off, let me state this for the record. And I want to be clear here. I don't give a shit about either of those two people losing their lives in the process of trying to impede an active law enforcement operation. I don't give a shit. They purposely put themselves in these scenarios and they fucked around and they found out. Especially with the chick, okay? Her and her girlfriend, they talked all that shit to ICE like it was all sweet, refused to get out of the way, refused to get out of the car, and then tried to drive off as the officers gave them a direct order after they clearly broke the law. I mean, that's like me, right? That's like me showing up to a SWAT raid and trying to block the SWAT team from carrying out a raid that they had probable cause to conduct. Now, what do you think the SWAT would do to me? What do you think they'd do to me if I tried to do that?
Okay, Michael. Regular or extra crispy?
Extra crispy. All right, they not playing with you. All right, it's the same with ICE. It's the same with ICE. All right, they're out here trying to get dangerous illegals that are committing fraud, theft, sexual crimes against children, you name it. They're trying to get them off the street. And they're trying to get them out the country. And then some moron who's unofficially deputized by that idiot governor, Tim Walz, thinks they're above the law. So you get what you pay for. And I don't feel sorry for them. As a matter of fact, if I was in charge of ICE, I'd go 10 times harder than that. We are in a war, people. We are in a war. And I think a lot of y'all don't understand that. I'm even seeing this with a lot of people I respect, okay? And it's no disrespect to them. We just have a disagreement. But they're making the case that if you support ICE in the recent deaths, that somehow that makes you complicit with the government abusing its power on American citizens. I'm going to say this again. I understand and I respect your opinion. And in principle, maybe you're right about the abuse of power. But we're beyond that at this point. Okay, we are beyond your ideals of how the government should work. And that's simply because the other side has absolutely no respect for any of that. So it's time to fight fire with fire. I'm all for it. For years, we've watched the left abuse the fuck out of their power. And now when the right has a slight leg up, they can't use theirs. I mean, unfortunately, we are beyond fairness. In my opinion, I think the right has been fair enough. We've been objective enough. But these people have shown over and over again what type of time they're on. Let's look at the whole Charlie Kirk assassination, for example. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, these sick people rejoiced and paraded in the streets. All right, and the ones who didn't necessarily rejoice and parade, they still had a nonchalant attitude towards the whole situation, because a lot of them, I heard this excuse. They said, well, maybe he didn't deserve to die, but he shouldn't have been a bigot, as if that's a reason to kill somebody. All right, now these same people are trying to tell me I should feel sorry for someone who was dumb enough to try to impede on an active law enforcement operation. Sorry. It's a no for me, dog. It's a no. The same people who were rejoicing when Trump was almost killed by a left-wing lunatic are trying to tell me I should feel sorry for these people who decided to put themselves in harm's way and purposely antagonize law enforcement. No, sir. No, sir. And I'm off topic, but I want to get back to you Negroes. You Negroes calling me out for my stance on this. All right? Y'all gotta be the most politically inept people on the planet. Okay? Y'all are out here literally cheering on the demise of your own community just to get an aha moment on Trump and the imaginary rednecks that you think that are out to get you. All right, when these people sneak into the country by the thousands in droves, where do you think they put them first? Where do you think they place these people first? They place them right in the black community where resources are already scarce. Then to top it off, these people don't assimilate with the black population at all. They don't assimilate with us. They splinter off into their own groups, and they still consider you a nigga after you begged, pleaded, and marched for them to get over here. But I'm the sellout because I don't want them here? I mean, we're talking about 15 million people. All right, 15 million people getting placed into our communities, scattered throughout the country, of course, but it's 15 million people. What do you think that looks like in 15 to 20 years? All right, 15 to 20 million automatically becomes 30 to 40 million. And that's if. That is if they don't procreate at the same rate they procreate in their native countries. You idiots don't ever see the bigger picture. Why? Because your politics is based on your feelings and not logic, data, or historical analysis. That's the reason why we're still stuck in the same place we've been in since the 60s. 40 million people still at the bottom of the socioeconomic totem pole. And not 1% wealthier than we were back then. Look up the data. Yes, the salaries got bigger, but the cost of living is even worse. So as a matter of fact, we're probably doing worse. The left has convinced you that the nuclear family isn't important. Where did that get us? The left has convinced you that deleting your own offspring is a noble cause. 23 million dead babies later, where did that get us? The left has convinced you that single motherhood and generational welfare is an acceptable reality for your community. Where did that get us? It's 2026 and we still haven't figured it out. So cool. I'll be a sellout. I'll be an Uncle Tom. I'll be whatever you think you're big and bad enough to call me. But I tell you one thing I ain't gonna be. I'm not gonna be on the sinking ship with the rest of you mentally enslaved, victimized niggas. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And I'm not throwing out no life rafts. You niggas wanna sink on that ship, you go ahead and do it. But I'm preparing to go I've already went the other way, but I'm preparing for the ship to sink and I'm not gonna be on it. You guys go down with that. You wanna be in a community flooded with immigrants that don't even like you, who are gonna take all your resources, and once they become citizens, replace your vote, you go ahead and deal with that. I'll be out in the sticks, taking my chances with the rednecks. And you guys can stay in the city and stay in these urban areas. I wish you good luck. Anyway, sorry about that rant, guys. I want to get into the actual reason that ICE is targeting Minneapolis in the first place. All right, I want to get into that. We're about half an hour in, so I want to start this video because I ain't trying to be here too long. Got to go to work in the morning. But anyway, if you haven't heard, there is a major scandal with the Somalian refugees and government funds they've been receiving for approximately like the last 10 years for childcare, autism, and other healthcare businesses. Now, it's estimated that these people have stolen almost $8 billion in government funding from the taxpayers and haven't actually even been rendering the services that they were paid to give. $8 billion. All right, so I got an article real quick from December that I want to read, and then we'll get into the video. All right, so let's get to that article. One second. All right. Y'all can see that? Cool. All right, so fraud in Minnesota, deleting the nearly $1 billion in schemes. This is from December, right? So they're not even getting into the child care thing. This is some shit before. All right, so it says the brief. The $300 million from Feeding Our Future, the possibility of nearly $220 million in autism programs, and the $302 million from the Housing Stabilization Program adds up to $822 million in fraud from Minnesota services.
Look at my African American.
$822 million just from the housing fraud and the autism fraud. All right. Fraud in Minnesota has led to attacks by President Donald Trump on the Somali community in Minnesota. So it says, while fraud in Minnesota has been covered for years by Fox 9, it has been gaining national attention recently. Taking a closer look at why the focus have shifted to Minnesota, we have to take a closer look at what was the catalyst for President Donald Trump and the national media to start talking about the massive cases of fraud that Fox 9 has been detailing over the past 4 years. The story of fraud in Minnesota gained national attention after an article was published citing anonymous sources claiming money from these fraud cases were being funneled to the terrorist organization Al-Shabaab, whatever that says. Al-Shabaab is the militant wing of the Somali Council of Islamic Courts that took over most of southern Somalia in 2006. As of this publishing, no one has been able to provide evidence that any money from these fraud cases in Minnesota have gone to the fund terrorism in Somalia. And just real quick, I don't care about that. The point is they frauded the money. Where the money went doesn't really matter. The point is they're doing it. All right. So anyway, Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Minnesota, told one reporter if there was a linkage in the money that they have stolen going to terrorism, then that is failure of the FBI, and our court system is not figuring that out. Rep. Omar added she is pretty confident any link to Minnesota fraud dollars and terrorism is a false claim. So she's not saying that the fraud didn't happen, because the fraud did happen. They stole $822 million. Her only rebuttal to this is that the money didn't go to terrorists. And if it did, it's the FBI's fault. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. So let's go. In response to the Al-Shabaab story, President Trump said he was going to revoke temporary asylum protections for Somalian refugees and order ICE raids in Minneapolis. In a social media post, Trump threatened to send Somalis back to where they came from, alleging Minnesota is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. The Treasury Department is also now investigating this claim. All right. Here are the details regarding 3 major fraud cases in Minnesota. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson said recently that when his current investigations are finished, fraud in programs administered by Minnesota could exceed $1 billion. 78 defendants have been charged in the Feeding Our Future fraud case. The 78th defendant was recently charged on November 24th. There have been 56 convictions so far in the Feeding Our Future scheme, including the ringleader of the operation, Amy Bach. Bach was found guilty by a jury of fraudulently creating and operating federal child nutrition program sites throughout the state of Minnesota. These sites claim to be serving meals to thousands of children a day within just days or weeks of being formed. An audit showed these sites were serving a small number of meals and some weren't serving any meals at all. I don't need to even read any further. I don't need to read any further. Okay, you see what's going on here. You see what's going on here. This is why Trump has people in Minnesota. This is why these people need to be deported. All right, now in addition to this information, all right, recently a YouTuber by the name of Nick Shirley uncovered a bombshell story involving almost 800, that's right, 800 Somalian businesses that are suspected of frauding the government of millions of more dollars. So without wasting any more time, I want to play this video for you so you get a good idea of what's really going on here. Bear with me though. This is a long video. All right, and I'll try to get through most of it. And afterwards, we'll take some calls. All right, if you guys want to call. And if not, you know what I mean, we'll just close out the show. But anyways, let's get that video started. Let's get it. All right, I'm gonna skip to about a minute in. Here we go.
Heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more.
How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these childcare centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking. And then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. And then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
Now, do you hear that? Now they're gonna start visiting some of these daycares, and they're gonna break down the numbers and all that. But off the break, this is in addition to the article that I just read. And it's crazy because the people of Minnesota, with open arms, let these people come into their community and approved legislation to help them get their foot on the ground once they got in America. And what did they do? They stole. They stole from them. They stole from them. But this is just the microcosm of the macrocosm. We've now got 20 million extra third world immigrants, illegal immigrants in our country who haven't been vetted. They're going to come here with the same third world mentality that they left their country with. So what do you think that's going to do to our country? What do you think that's going to do? Meanwhile, you idiots are begging for them to come. You're begging for them to come here. And pretty soon, especially if you leave it up to the Democrats, every major city is going to look like Minnesota, getting frauded by immigrants. Now, granted, we're already getting frauded by our politicians anyway. But at least they're from here. At least they're from here. How you gonna come here on a wing and a prayer and then start stealing? I just don't get it. Anyway, let's go.
So right here we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research. And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a child care not far from here in Minneapolis that has two child cares listed at the same address. And together, they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever, and I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations, and even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation. A lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
So, I mean, you can hear what he's saying. This is just outright neglect. This is intentional neglect at this point. Like the Democrats in charge of Minnesota are allowing these things to happen. They're allowing these things to happen. And then when they get caught, they want to incite riots against ICE. That's what you're seeing in Minnesota right now. The governor of Minnesota has basically all but deputized all of these people to go out and keep ICE from investigating what's going on here. And that's what this is really about. That's what this is really about. That's why Tim Walz is not running for governor again. He can't. Because all of this shit is out now. But I'm a sellout. I'm an Uncle Tom. I'm all of that. Because I don't want my tax dollars and the tax dollars of the people of Minnesota to be going to this fraud. Especially from people that don't belong here in the first place. To people that we reached out to and helped, got them out of their shithole country. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to call Somalia a shithole country. I know some Somalians that are good people, so I don't want to say that. But at the same time, you know what shape Somalia is in. It is not in good shape. They don't have a functional government. It's in total disarray. So for us to let these people over here, give them clean running water, clothes on their back, money in their pocket, help them set up businesses, and then they turn around and steal? I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. And you guys are begging for more of it. And that's what I don't get. Logically, what is your logical argument to say that these people should still be coming in droves? What is your logical argument to say that ICE and Border Patrol shouldn't be there investigating these people and kicking these people out of here? What is your logical argument? This is why I don't care about the two people that died. I mean, of course, you know, whatever. I hope they go to heaven, or I don't know where they're going to go, but God rest their soul. Condolences to their family. But at the end of the day, I mean, you messed around and you found out. Period. All right, let's continue.
And the government knows about this.
The government knows, they're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community. They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe. And They're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't.
And let me say, it's 2026. It's 2026. It's time for white people to stop being scared. It's time for y'all to stop being scared. Because your cowardice is ruining this country. It really is. Your cowardice is ruining this country. You scared of people who don't belong here to call you a racist after you let them in here? What are you're scared of being called a racist or Islamophobe? No, these people are stealing. They're stealing.
Understand, this is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud, and they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud and is a state employee must report that fraud. It's Minnesota Statute 3.971, Subdivision 9. Not only that, but Walz is also guilty of misconduct of a public employee. When I look at the world as a whole, and I look at fraud, the Twin Cities is ground zero. The fraud is worse here than anywhere else ever in history. Anywhere.
We're going to go confront these people.
All right, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit to where they go and visit some of these places. All right, let's go.
In 2020, one of them received $1.3 million. In 2021, they got $987,000. In 2022, they got $714,000. That's the last I have for that one. And then the other one, $1.604 million in fiscal year 2025. Fiscal year 2024, they got about $800,000, and in fiscal year 2023, they got $904,059. This place right here. Yes.
We're outside of it.
Well, this is actually 2 daycares are registered here. One of them is Mako, which you see on this sign. The other one is Mini Child Care Center. And between the two of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year. And there are no children. Every facility as you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. If there's nobody here, you won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell? Try to get in, rang the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside, or...
There's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming.
Yeah,
through.
they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location.
And the fraud only gets more from here. Make sure you stay till the very end of this video to see exactly how much fraud we find by the time we are done. And before we go to the next location, I want to show you something super interesting about the flags of Minnesota.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at the Minnesota state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag of Somalia. And really quick, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of this video, Opus Clip. What used to just be an AI clipper has now become the most powerful AI growth tool for creators. Right now, over 10 million creators and businesses have used Opus Clip to help them gain over 60 billion views. I've used...
So what we're going to do, we're going to skip to when they actually entered one, because there's a lot of clips of them going to various daycare centers, and you can see they're not really open. I just want to skip, in the interest of time, to where they actually went inside of one of them. All right, let's go.
All the fraud. Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there? What?
And in fiscal year 2025, they received $3.6 million. In fiscal year 2024, they received $3 million. So in 2 years, they got $6.67 million, claiming they have 90 children every day of the week, 5 days a week.
I mean,
let's
these
find
people
out.
are making just about more money than NBA athletes.
And we don't even know if they're paying taxes, but we don't know where this money is going. Is it going to terrorism? Where is it going? But it's theft, it's fraud. And the reason I'm involved is I want it to stop. I care about Minnesota. I'm doing this for the people of Minnesota. I don't make a dime of all this time I've spent on this. I put my life at risk several times, but I'm determined to see this through and to correct what is wrong, what is evil.
Here at Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this building received over $3 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No? Why can't I check out the daycare?
Martin's not here.
Okay, but if I can't get paperwork or anything to submit my son little Joey to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
Business card?
No, I would like your business card actually.
You talk to your manager.
Okay, can I speak with somebody? Where are the children at? Are the children here today?
No.
No children?
Yeah.
Why are there no children?
Two of Mexico.
Would my son little Joey have friends to play with here?
No.
No? No friends for little Joey?
Yes. Sorry.
Ah, dang it. Well, have a great rest of your day. So, little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare.
Joey's still homeless.
Joey's still looking for daycare.
And because little Joey couldn't get into a daycare, we went to an autism center, as they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they are receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him into the autism center. Because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5? Probably, so you don't really know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer.
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here, because there's
So why are you asking us about
the fraud? Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. Yeah. But that's our number on you. But this is we can't let you guys speak. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So they're running a daycare center and the guy opens the door with a hood on his head. Come on, bro. This is ridiculous. I mean, you guys get the point. You guys get the point. I want to now go to, I'm going to go to the last part where they confront the government about this fraud, and then we'll close it on out. All right, here we go.
And we headed to the state capitol where they're having a meeting about the fraud to confront the state representatives and people in the government who have enabled and let this fraud happen. Inside of this committee, a Republican representative showed charts showing exactly how this fraud has been committed and who is profiting and connecting all the dots. And while the Democrat representatives looked into the abyss, one of them spoke about how none of this is building trust and how this is a nonpartisan issue, so I went and confronted her after that.
He has some very valid questions to ask about what's going on here in Minnesota. And do you think this fraud
I don't know who
crosses?
you are.
My name's Nick Shirley.
Okay.
Do you think this fraud is Republican or Democrat, or just facts that fraud is happening?
I think the fact that
Because
you're talking about it as a partisan issue.
well, because that's what I heard you talking about.
I know what I said is that
because
what we're talking
we want
about
to build trust, but fraud is fraud. So why should we be enabling fraud to happen here?
No, I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
Okay, sir.
No.
Sir.
When are you going to hold Governor Walz? No. She is a representative for the state of Minnesota. Yes or no?
Excuse me?
Yes, are you?
If you're going to talk to me like
Are
that.
you going to say to her, I'm a disability advocate?
I heard you, and
I
we've
get
got a chance
overstimulated.
to testify.
What is up with this dude, bro? Let's go.
No. Ma'am, the facts are the fact that fraud is happening here, and it's not a nonpartisan issue. How come you think fraud has been able to happen so much underneath?
I think if you've been
government here?
listening to our hearings, we've had now 10 hearings on this. And so there's really good data from the people who both work within the administration as well as who, both Democrat and Republicans. I think what you heard today is that the Republicans who control this committee are not actually interested in solving fraud. What they're interested in is telling a story.
This fraud has happened underneath Democrat leader Tim Walz.
There has been Medicaid fraud across the country under Democrats and Republicans. There's fraud within the Trump administration. We have is fraud. Public-private providers have made government a mark. And so every person running government, Democrats or Republicans, are dealing with the issue of how to keep fraudsters out of our public payment. We're also dealing with veterans. We're dealing with consumers. I hope you're looking at that. If you look at United Health, currently is being charged with defrauding Medicare. You know who runs Medicare? President Trump. Medicaid fraud.
So he came and asked a specific question, and she's pointing the finger at everyone else, even though there have been almost 100 people already convicted and over $1 billion worth of fraud already. And there's still more fraud that they're uncovering. Like, this rabbit hole of fraud in Minnesota is crazy. And if this is going on in Minnesota, where else do you think it's going on at? You guys got to open your eyes and really see what we're dealing with here and get out of your feelings. Just because you hate Trump and you hate conservatives doesn't mean that you can't look at this logically and see that it is a problem. Granted, fraud runs rapid in the United States of America. But does that mean we should take on tens and millions of people who don't even belong here and deal with their fraud too? Like, make this shit make sense. Make it make sense.
Fraud is a 50-state issue. And so, again, it is not a partisan issue. There are Democrats and Republicans who are sitting in that committee talking about it. But what you did here was the Republican chair say she's not turning information over to the one person in government who can stop payment. And I hope you print that. Thank you for coming today.
Okay.
Crazy.
Well, you saw what happened there?
The state of Minnesota that we live in, and these politicians are just walking off, thinking it's okay Tuesday, and they want to go visit the Trump. They want to blame the Trump administration. We have Democrats blaming ICE.
And there we have it, man. So to wrap this up, like I said, I in an ideal situation, I could go through the whole video, but I don't have that type of time tonight. But I want to just give you guys one interesting fact. Before Tim Walz took over as governor, they came in with the state had an $18 billion surplus. $18 billion surplus. All right. It's estimated that the Somali fraud in the state of Minnesota has reached upwards of almost $8 billion. Okay. Currently, the state of Minnesota is in a $6 billion deficit. $6 billion deficit. That's $24 billion that disappeared from the economy of Minnesota since Walz has been the governor. 24 billion. 8 billion of that constitutes or possibly constitutes Somalian refugee fraud. A third of the debt is fraud from Somalian refugees. Let that sink in. This is a problem. ICE and Border Patrol need to go investigate, and they need to get these people out of this country. They need to get them out. So if you think that 2 dead pawns that put their life on the line to save these pirates, if you think that that is a reason to shut down ICE after knowing what we know now, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I get it. Shout out to my libertarians. You know what I mean? I love my libertarians out there. I love the fact that the libertarians have this ideal of America that they think we should follow. True and true. I get it. We should follow the tenets of what America stands for. However, we're dealing with a left wing of this country that does not care about that. They constantly go against the grain. How are you supposed to deal with these people? You can't deal with them fairly when they get in power. They don't do fair things. So how do you think we're supposed to deal with this? If I was Trump, I'd double down on ICE. I'd do the insurrection. I'd get all of them out of there. I'd start with Minnesota and make an example. You want to keep violating and impeding on law enforcement operations? Then okay, you're going to get your head cracked open. It is what it is. There's a difference between peacefully protesting and impeding on law enforcement actions. They're out there throwing ice water bottles at these cops. They're doing all type of shit that no one's talking about. Hell, earlier in 2025, they were shooting at ICE agents. They were trying to bomb ICE facilities. And these guys are low on manpower. They're out there trying to do this for us. And what's the thanks they get? What's the thanks they get? We're talking about they need to be abolished. No, they're trying to save the country. But meanwhile, the man we voted for, who has a mandate to do exactly what it is that we're talking about here, what does he do? He folds. He tucks his tail. And now he's got his eyes set on bombing Iran again. And that's not what we voted for. So anyways, that's going to be tonight's show. Real quick, whether you agree, you disagree, or you're indifferent, do me a favor, especially if you're watching back on the playback, leave a comment in the comment section below. All right. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell, and select all. All right. For myself and the rest of the crew here at Trippin Aint Easy TV, peace out. We'll catch you on the next one.